What's up with that? You got me on hold. What do you think, you dope on a rope? Nope. What, I'm supposed to sweat you? I'm supposed to just run all over me? Zero on the strength. Hey, yo, Scott, it ain't hard to tell, right?
Grab a girl and get out your seat and rock to the rhythm of this funky beat. My name is Alfie Chauffeur. Rock to the rhythm of the funky beat.
Yes, y'all. You listen to 1690 AM, the one. Had to take you back. You know, that's when the real singing was going on. Ain't no auto-tuning, ain't none all that studio making your voice sound whatever. I'll be sure, y'all. He was just in the studio, too. He was here last year. You better recognize. 1690 AM, the one. We just had the councilman in here. Now we're going with the candidates. And we got the first candidate up for City Council District 2. Everybody know who he is. He normally has his theme music. I don't know why he didn't bring his theme music. I don't know if it's Batman, Superman theme music. I don't know. No, Power Man. That's probably what it will be, you know. You know what I mean? So if you're going to do it for real. But I got our brother in the house. He's running for District 2 City Council. And we're going to welcome Brother Dennis Womack. Let me scoot on over here. How's life treating you today, bro?
Oh, very good, William, and thank you for inviting me to the show today, my brother. And Richard, thank you as well. Hope we have a good time here this afternoon.
All right, well, we're going to get to the bottom line of any issue and anything that you want to talk about. First question is, you did get your mic on? Yeah, I think it does. 1 2 mic check. I can hear a little feedback. 1 2 mic check. Make sure the switch is on. Switch. Oh yeah, it's on. I can hear. You can? Yeah. Okay. Let's make sure you hear everybody. All right. Well, first things first. Good to see you.
Absolutely.
Good seeing you in the community. I've been knowing you all my life.
Absolutely.
Mainly most of my life, and it helped you back when your very first run for city council. What was that? What year was that?
That's back in 1990s. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, you were just a young man
Right.
Getting ready to come out of Central High School.
Yeah, I was already out. I was ready to go.
Absolutely.
I was already out. But so what got you ready to go again one more time?
Well, I began to look at the issues, and one of the things that has always bothered me primarily is that there's been a lot of myths about the community that I want to represent from both political parties. One political party always assumed that the leadership in our community oftentimes misplace funds and what have you, and the other one just wouldn't care anything about the community at all. And with some of the issues that have occurred here previously with some of our leadership, I just thought that I would bring a calming force to the city council race and allow people to become redirected in terms of what the real issues are in this community. And certainly you are aware of it because you've been a long time resident of this community.
Right.
Yeah, you've been other places, but I think our hearts are still here.
Yep.
And some of the issues that I have is one of the issues is the illegal guns and the source that we have. And if I'm elected city council, or when I'm elected a city councilman, my goal is to develop what I would call a community policing council. That would take 2 representatives from each city council district, and we will form a committee to provide oversight as it relates to police conduct or misconduct. Will also become a clearinghouse to where in those particular city council districts, if there are issues regarding hot spots in the community, we can begin to filter the information and then involve the police. And that way we provide some safety for individuals who may feel that they may be retaliated against. So I think that that's a very, very, very important issue as it relates to police community relations. And the one thing that I think I'll stress all the time as a city councilman is that as taxpayers, there is a certain responsibility that the police department has to us, and not vice versa.
Right, and and that's what you hear a lot of people in other districts. They say, "I pay your taxes" when they come across the police.
Absolutely.
And that's one of their major assaults on the police. I pay your taxes. You're going to listen to me. You're not going to do this or that. And really, in our community, we don't really even think about it that way.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think one of the reasons that occurs, Brother Ventry, is that our community is faced with some other issues that are very, very important to the economic base of even having a community. We have a 49% poverty rate in our community and about a 34% unemployment rate in the community.
Right. That's exactly
and
right.
I know those are issues that involve the legislature, but for too long, we've had that poverty rate facing us. I can tell you that from as a kid, being born here back in the 50s, that poverty has always remained the same. I know there's efforts to always reduce poverty, but so far to date, we haven't put a dent in it at all. Neither have we put a dent in the unemployment issues. Right. And our current city councilman and our past city councilman, they began to reduce and scale down the Workforce Investment Act program to where they minimized the services, and we only received one core component, which was the summer youth program. They failed to have what we would have been eligible for as a year-round youth program. They failed to go after monies for displaced workers. They also failed to go after money for training of individuals who needed skilled training in our community. And the sad thing about it is that the governor of this state decided that affirmative action was no longer needed in the state of Nebraska because everybody should be happy with what they put out as a 4.3 unemployment rate. That is a false unemployment rate. Real unemployment from a statewide standpoint is over 15%. And that's one of the issues that is never discussed here.
Right. Now, what's your plan if elected day one? What will Dennis Womack do?
I want to expand workforce programs and bring it back to the area that is the most impoverished, has the highest poverty rate in the state of Nebraska. Most of the residents there don't have the necessary skill sets to command jobs. That even goes for our students who graduate from college. Very rarely do many of them obtain employment in the area that they receive their education in.
Right.
And many are underemployed on a statewide basis today.
Now, your vision for North Omaha, I know we got a lot of particular problems. Just had the discussion with the last city councilman, City Councilman Ben Gray. We talked about a lot of specific issues in regard to just dealing with all the issues. One of the questions I asked him, how can we got the most millionaires and a couple of billionaires, and we got the most impoverished community in America. How can we bring those with ideals together and those with money together in order to create or even stimulate entrepreneurship? Because with felons that have they automatically discriminate against. So we got to look at entrepreneurship, building business, so we can hire our own people.
Right. Well, one of the things as it relates to felons, there's a component in the U.S. Department of Labor that says that any person who has demonstrated that they've been forgiven of their criminal backgrounds or history, they are eligible for what we call fidelity bonding. That means that they can get bonding through the U.S. government.
Okay.
So that they can command employment. The other thing, as a community, we have to begin to remedy some of our own ills ourselves. No longer can we sit back and say, well, the police is going to take care of this and the police is going to take care of that. They're not. They work for us. The other issues is that we don't stand up against evil elements in our own community. Right. I get tired of hearing people say, ain't nothing we can do about gangs. Well, for me, having lived in California for a long time, I don't see gangs the way that I know gangs are on the West Coast version. Right. So I think we have an edge in that area because if we stood up as a community, I think we can remedy some of these here unnecessary drive-by shootings, begin to solve some of these here unnecessary homicides, and begin to make this community what it could be. That way, I think we can begin to attract those millionaires that you're talking about. Failure to do that only allows people to continuously say, well, I'm not going to relocate my business down there because everybody down there is criminals.
Right.
Every one of us sitting in this room, once we walk out that door, we can be viewed as a criminal in this community. And that's not true. I know both of you are hardworking, upstanding young men, but you also fall in that category of endangered species.
Right. Now, we're just talking about the environment of Omaha. Everybody want to talk about the politics and point fingers, but no one really knows who the candidate is. So who is Denmark Womack? I mean, what do you do in the off time when you're not, debating and researching? I mean, what relaxes you? I mean, do you eat cornflakes in the morning?
Well, I'm a cream of wheat kind of guy. I like that warm breakfast. I like oatmeal too. So I think my concern is what is at stake for our youth here. Right. That's my major concern.
Right.
Okay. Young men like yourselves. What does your future hold here? I think I pretty much found out what mine could be in terms of writing grants, being a contracted person for one of the federal programs around here. But I look at you guys, and I know that you've both been to college. You've graduated.
Right.
What is your future? It is my responsibility and other guys in my age group to make sure that we pave the way so that we can begin to do exactly what you're talking about. Right. Change this community, make it a vibrant community where our businesses can thrive. We also have to begin to protect the current businesses that we have so that they don't move out of the community and we continuously have a blighted area. Right. That's one of the things that I think a city councilman, city councilwoman should do, is to enhance what's in the community and begin to build from that.
Cool. Okay. All right. Now, your role as a citizen, what experiences which validate you of being our city councilman?
My role as a citizen is that I'm a hardworking, tax-paying citizen. I believe in my community. I've introduced various programs to this community that, in fact, brought federal money to the community, from trying to improve a transportation system and make transportation available to our elderly so that they can get to and from their doctor's appointments or dental appointments if they were without transportation. I've also worked in the welfare to work programs, trying to ensure that young women weren't just booted off programs here or off of the system, so that they can possibly go to a 2-year college that would better their skill sets, that they could command livable jobs that pay a livable wage, that would allow them to afford livable housing or affordable housing. Right. And that's the whole key around here is, do we continuously work for the $8, $9 an hour in this city, or can there be a way from a legislative standpoint that a livable wage can be afforded our community, therefore changing the poverty status of individuals in this, because our economic base is improving?
What's your vision, and how can we get to your vision?
How we can get to that vision is that collectively, as a community, we have to set all our differences aside and look at it as what is going to be the benefit for the all. Mm-hmm. Too long I've witnessed here that we're constantly at each other's throats. Right. That has to be eliminated, specifically from a black male standpoint. Mm-hmm. If it is to be, it's up to the black males to begin to provide leadership for this community that will give people some ray of hope that things can change. Mm-hmm. And I believe that I can do it. I believe that because I'm not self-centered. It's not about me. This race isn't about a popularity contest.
Right.
This is about how we're going to survive as a community, as far as I'm concerned. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm basing it on. As city councilman, I want to change the gap between city and county salaries, where the directors there are making large sums of money and the people below them are making barely a livable wage.
Mm-hmm. Right.
that even goes for the city.
Right.
I believe in our unions. I believe the unions are the fiber of the community. I believe the small business, even small business like yours.
Right.
We have to be able to find and locate the resources that's going to sustain you as a business and allow you to get the technical assistance that's going to keep your business thriving.
Mm-hmm. Energy. And even the lead situation, we just have been having a lot of people been polluting. That even cross over to the health issues that teens dealing with the STDs and did I say that right? And other health issues. Well, what's your vision on that?
Absolutely. I was certified as HIV instructor.
Okay.
And I believe that there has to be a continuous process as it relates to health within the community. I understand sometimes data and statistical information can be skewed because if there's only one particular district or area that's always the focal point of it, you have to be able to understand data. And that's the one thing that I learned when I was with the U.S. Department of Commerce. It actually verified my ability to collect data and justify getting federal funds for a particular reason. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I would say to you is this. If this community, who has a lot of educated individuals, degreed, can not go after federal dollars that helps their community, and we continuously allow individuals from outside of the community to only come in and benefit off of our suffering, then what really have we done for the individuals that we've encouraged to go to college, get their degrees, if they can't command those jobs and those federal dollars, even in our community-based programs?
Yeah, that's really tough. And it's about like being aware, and a lot of times if your leadership don't make you aware of what's coming down, then the regular citizens will not know how to take care of those opportunities.
Absolutely, and you raise a real good point. I can tell you that when I was the Chief Deputy Election Commissioner, I identified some wrongdoing there almost immediately when I first got there. When the governor called me once to tell me he was getting ready to appoint another individual, my exact words to the governor was this: that individual will not be friendly to the minority community, and at one point or another is going to make a mistake, and did. Went to suppress the black vote by removing certain voting locations within the community. And, some people called me and said, Womack, you're vindicated. I was like, no, I just saw that a long time ago. I'm familiar with voter suppression type activities. Right. And I didn't need for anybody to tell me that I was vindicated. I knew I was vindicated when I did what I did. So, but it was basically to bring more attention to the activities that were going on out at the Election Commission. And unfortunately, even our county representative wasn't the one that identified it. It was another individual in the legislature, or one of the individuals at the Douglas County Democratic Party, that actually identified what was going on there. But they had to say the same thing that I said 7 years ago, that the person that's currently out there was unfit for the position. Are you worried about this election right here as far as people getting access and having the ability to get to the polls, especially those that's in nursing homes? I think right now, well, I do know that they do put some of the polling locations in the nursing home to make it more accessible. Well, I know last night they took them out because even in the towers where they've been traditionally at, but I think I know some have been put back in. So well, that's up to the community to demand it, and it's also up to us as a community to get on board as well. Right. Some people view the number of votes based on the number of registered individuals within that precinct or that district as the determining factor as to whether or not they should keep that polling location there. That's one of the ways that it's done. However, in some cases, it's done based on what I believe a national mandate by one of the political parties to actually turn people away so that they can become a powerful force again. So that voter suppression thing can be disguised in a way as well.
Oh, yeah. I really believe that has been. It's been since maybe even before 2008, there has been a national mandate to, I mean, because all across the country there's been suppressing the votes, and only really in minority communities.
Absolutely.
You don't really see any polling places leaving West Omaha. None of those. You didn't hear anybody out there complaining about a polling place shut
That's
down.
right.
For one, their demographic is totally different. They got transportation to get anywhere. But what I wanted to ask you a question. We know your passion for our district, which is District 2. What else can you bring to the council to help move our district along with the rest of the city?
Well, I think that the one thing that's important is that when I put together my police and community council,
Right.
I think that bringing other individuals from other districts allow them to get a better feel for some of the issues that we have in our community. Instead of looking at this community as always negative, I think they should begin to feel the pulse and our frustration with what's been happening. And that we have a right to demand information as to where our tax dollar goes, and we also have the right to demand answers as well. As a city councilman, that's what I'm going to give this community, answers, not only in this district, but I can tell you far north. That's not District 2, but I have talked to individuals in that area as well, and most people are saying, you know, nothing happens in the north area of Omaha. I call it the northeast area.
Right.
And that includes whites as well. So they're feeling frustration, and I understand that frustration because it could be viewed that just because they still live in this area, that there might be some coding going on with that 68111, 68110, 68104 zip code going on around here. Yeah. So I think that bringing more people into the equation from a community policing council, I think that will better help our district as well, because then they will begin to see that some of the activities that go on within policing as well as the community. I know good and well that this community doesn't want a lot of the negative things that are occurring here, because it does have an impact on it. It has an impact on your pockets as well. Exactly. But I think by bringing other communities in and maybe amending some of the ordinances that are there, such as the LBGT ordinance, I believe that the one thing that current city councilman failed to do was to add in women and minorities in that ordinance. And by not adding them in, he failed to feel the frustration of the community, because if you got a 34% unemployment rate in this community, that means that 3.5 to possibly 5 people out of 10 are not working in this community. And I don't believe that it's because people are lazy, don't want to work, or don't have the skills. I believe that there may be some discrimination going on there as well, and that's why we have such a high unemployment rate in our community.
Wow. So what's the plan to re-educate, retool, redefine our people? Because President Obama, I'm one of the examples. I got retrained through the Re-Energize program. So there are programs that the city and the state have, like you said, accessing those grant dollars to get retrained.
Absolutely.
So, to me, that's very significant in accessing those dollars, because that's crucial.
I think that the city and possibly the county under the Land Reutilization Commission, with some of our houses that are still around here,
right.
Not all of those houses should be demolished. Mm-hmm. Some of those houses can be refurbished using green technology and habitable again to where somebody can move in those houses and live in them. Mm-hmm. What I see is that there's a quick response to go and tear it down right away.
Exactly.
And then when it's torn down, you got a vacant lot there that's not collecting any taxes. So that's a burden onto the city and the county. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes it can be a period of 5 to 10 years before you see any type of new housing that might go in there, if there's ever any new housing that goes there. So I think sometimes we need to go back and reevaluate that. Look at some of our core programs where we're providing training for individuals, and look to see if that maybe a partnership between the community college and maybe some of these re-energized programs can look at that and say, we can go in there and refurbish that house for less than what it costs to demolish it. Exactly. Then begin to start getting taxes back on that house, and then adding to the tax base within this community, because that's the vital part of any community is home ownership, and that's real important to people in this neighborhood. As a community, we need to revitalize some of our training programs. We have a lot of people who want skilled training around here. It's just not eligible because sometimes I think leadership is unaware of the possibility of getting money. But as city councilman, my job is going to be to inform whomever the mayor is, whether it's a he or a she, as to what opportunities that are going to occur from a federal standpoint. That's one of the strengths that I think I have, is that I'm always looking for the federal dollars that go to various communities, and I can find the data and the information to support the request for them funds.
Right, and that's kind of what the councilman said, that the states get money from the feds in regards to these grants, and if you don't know what's coming down, then we're going to miss those opportunities to bring millions of dollars.
Absolutely.
To the city.
Well, it's important that the city council man, woman, become a clearinghouse so that information be delivered to the community. I don't think that a city council representative's job is to go down there and become a partner of the mayor. I think that's it. The city council person is to also become a partner of the whole community. Correct. And be able to identify where the dollars that will have a positive impact on his or her community should be delivered.
Right.
I hear about a lot of promises, and I've seen about a lot of promises that have been made to the Northeast area or District 2, but none has been delivered. If you look at the recent data on poverty and unemployment in the district, all the way over the Sorensen Park Expressway, from 45th Street on down to 16th Street, 50% poverty rate. 50%. That means two things. Basically, 5 out of 10 people are unemployed or underemployed in that community. And the supporting information came from the Omaha World Herald. So I know it's true. I also think that some of the data might be skewed to a certain degree. Right. Might be lower than what it actually is.
Right.
Sometimes people don't like to let it really be known what's really going on around here.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Transportation, you mentioned that earlier, and that's another barrier. And to me, in order to decrease some of the ills that we have in regards to access to jobs, because most of them are east of 72nd Street. Had a discussion with the mayor last weekend. He said, well, that's why we brought the industrial park. I think they're going to vote on that tomorrow as a city council. And he's hoping that
they're going to vote on the eminent domain aspect of it tomorrow.
So I guess they're going to take. Is there properties, or is that all?
That's owned by Anderson, and
is that a big company? So it's not like small homeowners.
No, it's not small homeowners that they're taking that from. That's a very large lot that they're looking at there. I'm not sure how that's going to go because the legalities behind it. But to come and say that, I don't want to hear somebody say it's going to possibly bring X number of jobs. And I want to hear somebody say it is going to. Because if I was to look at what's happened on 24th and Hamilton there, I remember back 8 years ago, they promised jobs at that cleaning company, that floor cleaning company there. They promised jobs over at Family Dollar. I don't see many people that live in the district working there. When I go through that lot down there, I see a lot of cars from Iowa over there.
Right.
Okay? I don't see many people who live in the district working there. And I will not believe that people could not meet the requirements in order to obtain employment at those companies.
And that's the reason why I asked you about the transportation, because that's one barrier for us. Another barrier besides the color of our skin, whatever else barriers that we have.
You know, William,
But getting access to the job.
I tell you, I wrote a grant back in 1991 when I first moved back home. Mm-hmm. It was to buy 15 passenger vehicles to take individuals to and from various job sites in the city of Omaha. I went to Omaha Steaks, First Data, Marriott, had all those companies positioned to receive workers from this area. Mm-hmm. The mistake I made was I took it through a community development corporation that did not see eye to eye with the focus or the direction of that program. Mm-hmm. The goal of the program was to, when those buses were not in use, was to take our seniors to and from hospital visits.
Right.
The vision of that community development corporation was one that they just wanted the $1 million. They didn't want to deliver the service. That's one of the problems that we have in this community when we get federal money. The community is somewhat unaware of it. Mm-hmm. When the money is misdistributed or distributed in the wrong way, many times nobody says anything about it.
Right.
We should have been up in arms because every one of us in this room right here, right now, knows somebody who's lacking transportation, who may need a ride to and from a doctor's visit, or maybe even an emergency to go to their job because their car broke down.
Exactly.
When we don't have them opportunities, or we don't keep those opportunities or value them, then we lose as a community. And only one person gains out of that, is the person who misuses or mishandles the funding. Mm-hmm. Myself, I decided to remove myself from that process, although it continued on. But that should be a program that we still have going on here today, because it would have been beneficial to not only the community, but it would have been beneficial to our churches as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know some of the candidates are running on emotion and don't have a plan. I heard one specific plan in regards to citizen and community relations. What other plans do you have?
Like I said,
elected our city councilman,
I want to expand workforce programs.
Okay.
I want to ensure that we get up to speed as it relates to livable wages, so that way people can afford housing. I also believe that we need a community policing council.
Okay.
And that, to me, is very, very important for our community. I also believe that I got to be able to identify where them illegal guns are, find the source, bring the federal government in as a city council representative. I'm not going to stay at home just doing nothing.
Right.
I think I'm pretty familiar with the streets and how to operate on the streets. I do believe I need to amend the LBGT ordinance as well to include women and minorities.
Okay.
I think that's very, very important. That should have never been overlooked. I do remember one city council person saying to our current city councilman, well, why don't you add women and minorities to that? That thing went over everybody's head like a helicopter. And that might have been purposeful. Mm-hmm. But to me, with a community that has a 39% unemployment rate, it should be a resounding fact that there's more than just people lacking skills, not wanting to work. That's at issue there.
Right. I wanted to ask a question. During the time of my upper employment, stable employment, underemployment, and unemployment, as I move through the city, or especially in our areas, what I see that we have a lot in our community are spenders. You know, there's no any place that's being rebuilt, that's being refurbished, that's any work that's being done that is in our community, a school being built, a road being fixed, a sewer being fixed. We have no one representing us on any of these workforces. I mean, no electricians, no just general contractors that are basically employing people. I hear the mayor talk about they're going to, like you said, have this financial district or this, what do they call it, industrial district down here in our area. how do we go about as a community through our representative to demand that in our community? I mean, even with the lead program, when they brought it up, it was supposed to be us running it. Mm-hmm. I know through some misappropriation, some bad business decisions and things like that, it has moved away from us. But as a citizen of our district, how do we go about, through our representative, to demand that in our community we are working?
I'm glad you brought that point up. There is a minority component to any federal contract that comes through this city, where I think it loses its importance is based on what arrangements are made with the current city councilman, city councilwoman.
Right.
If they're not enthusiastic about ensuring that the individuals that live in the district that they represent are employed or are able to obtain the jobs, then that city council person is lacking in direction.
Correct.
We should, whether it be in a protest form or we go down to city council to demand what is ours.
Exactly.
If we fail to do that, then we constantly lose as a community. That's where the issue of unity should become first and foremost, where individuals can set aside their differences and go for a common cause for the betterment of the community.
Correct.
We fail to do that because we're so fractionized in different areas and so on and so forth that the view of rebuilding this community by community residents oftentimes gets put on the back burner. That's why you can have other individuals who come from completely different areas and states come in here and get the jobs that are yours.
Right. Do you think that there is some really direct regentrification going on in our community?
Absolutely, there's regentrification going on. And that's another reason why the community needs to come together. Regentrification means we're going to bring down the property value.
Exactly.
Demolish the housing,
right.
Rebuild, replace it with housing that many people
can't
afford.
Right.
That is true. And if you start looking at the ethnic makeup of this community now, you can see that it's already had an impact on it.
I see that place that they built right on 24th. Now the prices to that right there in between, what is that?
Clark and
Burdett.
Yeah.
Right. First they were $200,000 suites or whatever. Now they don't gave us a few little programs, but it's still no one can afford those.
Absolutely. And
they're staying empty.
That's why I think one of the issues is livable wage,
right,
which would allow you to afford housing.
Exactly. Right. So you don't have to work 3 and 4 jobs to make your one house note payment.
Absolutely.
Well, we understand that, like we know you've been in the political realm since you got into the voting political realm in the 90s, but we know you've been moving under the currents up until then and since then. So what is after this election and you get in there and you do your time, what is the main objection you want to see before you decide to move forward?
I want to find a young man, young woman in this community who loves this community. I want to mentor them so that as I retire,
right,
the direction of the community begins to be the same,
okay,
which is community improvement, community development, and community reorganization that's going to be a benefit to all. I think that any politician, and I've seen this in other communities, where they mentor someone who has the same vision based on what the community needs are. And I think that that's been something that's kind of been absent in this state.
Yes.
And I think that as men, we need to be able to demonstrate something different to the community other than being affiliated with this gang or that gang or being unemployed and hanging on the streets. I know we got a lot of intelligent people in this community.
Exactly.
And I know that they care about this community. I care about it as well. And I'm counting on those people who can look at each of the candidates who are running for office here, look at their plan and their vision, and be able to make a positive and straightforward determination as to who best fits our needs.
Well, I think we will see that happening when we have the election. What date is the election?
Well, you're looking at April 2nd.
April 2nd, so that's coming up. We're within 30 days of it.
Absolutely.
Right around 20 days
Absolutely,
of it.
absolutely.
Right.
And early voting starts 18th of March.
Okay, so it's next week.
Absolutely, starts next week.
Now, we know a lot about you. What else do we not know about this, Womack? You know, I mean, we seen you on TV, we seen you on stage, and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, what do we not know about you that adds to your skill set?
Well, you may not know that I am an actual health buff. I do believe in healthy communities as well.
Okay.
When elected into city council, I do believe that I want to do walks through the community. And I think that as a force, we begin to show people who may not believe that a small group of people can make a major impact on the community, that we are concerned about it. Mm-hmm. I think once we begin to demonstrate that we love North Omaha, I had this slogan that says this, I love North Omaha. And I think everybody else should start loving it as well.
Yeah.
You know, and I do believe that one of my other slogans is, you use a legal gun in a crime, you're going to get extra time. Right. That's one of the other things that I believe that we need to start pushing in this community, too, because a lot of people don't want it to be viewed as black-on-black crime around here, but that's exactly what it is.
That's exactly what it is.
And we have to stop it as a community ourselves. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that I would like to implement as city councilman. I want to be able to push that type of law and or ordinance that says that you're using a legal gun in a crime, your butt's going to get extra time. Mm-hmm. And I think that's going to resonate with these young people, because we should no longer let going to jail become a badge of honor,
right?
Or saying that you've reached manhood because you're going to jail. That's the biggest lie and fallacy that's ever been told to our community, and I cannot understand why our children are believing that makes them a man by going to jail.
Right.
I heard that when I was a young man. That don't make you a man by going to jail.
Without a doubt.
I just believe it's probably something that has been systematically put in through media, through sensationalizing jail by you see clothing stores in our community selling orange jumpsuits. Orange jumpsuits?
Absolutely.
That doesn't make any sense. And they're the most sold in the mid-Ks, in the little places that we have in our community. We don't have Targets in our community.
Absolutely.
So they don't sell them there. But any mid-K, any Jim's Fashion or whatever, orange jumpsuits.
And you wonder and have to think, if a young man goes in there and buys one of them orange jumpsuits, wears it publicly, I think he becomes a magnet to attract Omaha Police Department, Douglas County Jail.
Exactly.
That's real foolish thinking.
Right.
That's not logical.
Now,
Okay.
City Councilman, you represent one vote. We have 7 districts. How's your negotiating skills? Because it's all about developing relationships,
absolutely,
and negotiating deals. Because
absolutely.
you got we represent the whole city, even
absolutely.
though you represent one vote.
Absolutely. I know there's always a trade-off in negotiations, but I do believe that one of the things you have to do when you begin the process of negotiating, you have to have your numbers and your data correct.
All right.
That's one thing I pride myself in. I pride myself in helping people when they have a sound, solid project that they want to get done. If they have the data to substantiate it and back it up, I'm going to be for it. And I believe that my negotiating skills, whether it's been from a federal standpoint, state standpoint, I've always prided myself in having the type of negotiating skills that were beneficial as to why I've been able to write grants and bring monies in this community. It takes a lot of work. That's one of the other sides of me is that I like to sit in computers. I like to find data that substantiates something in the community. I know what the poverty levels have always been here. I've always known what the unemployment levels have been. I've never been one to accept the fact that people don't want to work in this district. I always believe you give a person a chance, they're going to demonstrate to you that they're going to do very, very good when they get that chance.
Oh, yeah. Now, we asked you a series of questions. What's one thing that you want to discuss that we haven't even touched on today?
You two brothers are so in tune here that I think you know what the pulse of the community is. I think you know what the issues are that's facing the community. And I think we've touched on everything. I know we could dialogue until 8 o'clock tonight.
Right.
Because there's other issues out there that are really, really something that people know about, but they're not talking about. And I'll tell you why I believe that gun safety and guns are a problem in our community. When our young women started getting shot by unknown assailants,
Exactly.
it's incumbent upon us as a community to start saying, I'm no longer going to take that no more.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take that no more. Because then it's going to start being our babies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's been our babies.
Yeah.
We've had it all the way. We've had babies. I have 3 posters in my house. My daughter always asks me, who are those little girls? Those 3 little girls that have been shot by stray bullets and killed, not shot, killed by stray bullets here in our community. So we got the little kids, the little baby girls, the baby boys. Then we have our wives, our grandmothers. I mean, it's like you said, outside of anyone being any office as a man in our community, we need to galvanize and mobilize so we can really stop some of this.
Absolutely.
nonsense.
We still got homicides that haven't been solved. And when those start getting solved, we can begin to reduce the criminal or the crime rate in our community. Because when people address those issues and solve those crimes, it also puts something else on people's mind. Right now, you have people out there who are walking around who killed somebody that are saying, they ain't going to never catch me.
Right.
Because nobody's going to tell on me. And I don't know the so-called game that people are saying that has been played where if you tell the police goes back and tell people that you're the one that did that. Well, with my community policing council, we're going to be able to eliminate that void right there because nobody will ever be able to know who did the telling. It'll be people from the council who've gathered that information that can lead to the arrest and criminalization of a perpetrator that has created a crime in our community. Right. So they won't be able to pinpoint and identify who the person is. And that's why I think that community policing council becomes real important. And it also becomes important to the fact that we bring other people in. If you witnessed over the last 2 days, there's a shooting, a police involved shooting over on Center Street. That's not our district.
Right.
It wasn't even a person from Nebraska. When I saw the car, it looked like the car was from Iowa. Yeah. So I think that people in that community will become as involved in any other community because crime is all over the city.
Oh, yeah. Right.
As a former member or chairman for the Northeast Precinct Police Department Advisory Council, I always had a difficulty with the CompStat reports there. And when I say that is that in this community, I think we have over-policing. And that's based on data that's collected. Over-policing means that if you got more police in this area, the criminals are active in another area.
Exactly.
Now, if you hear one gunshot here and there's 5 officers in that area, I think all 5 of them have to make that report. So it is assumed that there was 5 gunshots.
Yeah. Right.
So that supports the data to help them get the federal funds surrounding gang suppression or those type of activities.
Right.
And it may not be that much gang activity in the community. I could give you an example. One day I came home from this grocery store. My wife and I, we usually go early. And as we turned the corner, I said to my wife, honey, there's about 25 policemen down by our house. She laughed at me and said, you can't see that far. And I said, oh, yes, I can. So we got to the house. There's about 25 officers there. One's blocking my driveway. But they've already got the back of my neighbor's house secured. So nobody was coming in or going out unless there was going to be a standoff. But what happened was his wind just blew his door open. But they had the AR-15s out there like it was a major SWAT issue. Mm-hmm. So I asked them to move their car from my driveway, and they looked at me like, get out of here. You don't even own your own property. We're going to command it. Well, I quickly let them know that as a taxpayer, I have rights too. We're not going to let our food spoil because y'all can't solve this issue, which I told them was his back door just blew open. They just left, and here's his phone number, and you can call him, and he'll be right back here to help y'all seal that house back up. But the way that they treated me was kind of one that I perceived from being the chairman of the Northeast Advisory Council, that there's a high level of contempt for individuals in the community.
Right.
And that the police officers fail to respect the fact that, one, there's a lot of hardworking, tax-paying people in this community. They deserve the same treatment as anybody else in this city.
Right. Exactly.
And they shouldn't generalize, because when they generalize, they can make fatal errors that can have this police department on front page nationwide.
Before we get out of here, why don't you give the people your information on how they can volunteer, get a sign,
Absolutely,
or even donate.
Absolutely. You can go to my Facebook page. That'll tell you. One is Dennis Womack, City Council. Mm-hmm. Or you can Womack for City Council at gmail.com. Mm-hmm. Or you can reach me at area code 402-451-6882, and we'll respond as quick as possible.
Well, I know you got a couple of events coming up. I know Wednesday you're going to be at the Hungry Club.
I won't be able to make that one, but I will be at Channel 22
the 18th?
on the 18th. Absolutely.
Yeah. We will be streaming that live for those that have not heard that. We have all the city councilmen. Again, next Monday, the 18th, is going to be streamed live on 1690 AM The One. Also, it's going to be broadcast on Channel 22.
Absolutely.
So that's going to be nice. It's going to be real nice. But we know today we had an opportunity to bring not only the councilmen but all the candidates in. We kind of want to get a one-on-one, mm-hmm. and not only just talk about politics, but just talk about what you do on the other side, and people need to know the real men that's running besides the politics side.
Absolutely.
Right. You're from this community. You're a family man. You take care of your health.
Absolutely.
And you love this community. So, and people need to know those things also besides all the stuff they hear and all the rhetoric they hear from other people.
Absolutely.
Before we get out of here, and we got to go because we got another candidate coming in.
I got you.
What's your last parting words that you want to say to the community? So
I would say to the community that read, follow what each candidate's looking at in terms of what their platform is or the issues that they want to handle. Determine for yourself who best fits what this community's needs are. Not look at this as a popularity contest or because somebody's supporting another candidate or so on and so forth. I think when you look at what the community's issues are, you have to be able to identify as to what candidates' skills best fit the needs for this community, mm-hmm. and make your vote accordingly.
Right. Why don't you give your information out again, bro? Womack?
Yeah, you can reach me at Womack 4, and that's the number 4, City Council.
All right.
At gmail.com, or you can reach me at area code 402-451-6882. Or you can hit my Facebook page, which has blown up immensely within the last few days. So,
well, that's what it's for.
Absolutely, that's what it's for.
Hey, y'all, again, we want to thank y'all for watching. I know we I went out, got a lot of people watching on Ustream. We appreciate you guys watching the broadcast today. We appreciate you guys taking the time out to listen to Brother Womack. He loved this community. So we wanted just to bring these gentlemen in and just hear the human side, because when you get in forums and those kind of settings, it's a lot of finger pointing and et cetera, but this kind of format, we just want to get people the essence of what these really men, what they really believe in, and who they really are. So again, we want to thank a candidate for City Councilman District 2, Dennis Womack.
And I want to thank you, brothers, for inviting me in, and I hope you have a good rest of the day.
All right.
1690 AM The One. You guys make sure that you download our app. We're on TuneIn app, TuneIn app, radio app. We're next to the big boys. We are one of the big boys because we're with God. 1690 AM The One.
Amen.
But if the other woman's on my mind, on the hotline, it's